Fix this helicopter. I'll kiss you right now. The voice cut through the hangar like ice. Jack Hunter looked up from his mop, eyes landing on the Airbus H-145 sitting under floodlights, engine cowling open like a wound. Alexandra Holt stood 20 feet away, arms crossed, surrounded by engineers. Her gaze dropped to his oil-stained janitor uniform. You like staring at helicopters, or are you dreaming of being a pilot? Laughter rippled through the group. Alexandra Holt was born into aviation royalty. Her father built Holt Aerotech from nothing into a powerhouse. Her mother died in a plane crash when Alexandra was 12. She learned early that love was temporary, excellence was not. She graduated summa cum laude from Wharton at 22, took over at 28, pulled the company back from bankruptcy by 34. The press called her the Ice Queen of aviation. She never corrected them. She lived alone in a Manhattan penthouse. No pets, no plants, no one waiting. She'd fired 12 executives in 6 years. None saw it coming. Jack Hunter had a different story. He'd been a senior aviation engineer in the Army, keeping Blackhawks and Apaches flying in impossible conditions. His wife Sarah had been a nurse. After their daughter Emma was born, Sarah slipped into depression so deep she couldn't climb out. Jack found her in the bathtub one morning. Emma was 7 months old. He left the military 2 weeks later. Now, 7 years later, Jack worked night shift as a janitor at Holt Aerotech. It paid enough to cover rent and Emma's school. The hours let him drop her off and pick her up. No one knew he'd once sat in Pentagon briefings. Emma was everything. She loved robots and coding. She was 7 years old and believed her father could do anything. 3 weeks before, Jack had been cleaning near the H-145 late at night. He noticed a screen hadn't been turned off. Pressure readings fluctuated. A pressure differential in the turbine intake. He'd seen this before in Mosul. The fix was simple if you caught it early. Catastrophic if you didn't. Alexandra appeared, saw him near the equipment. "What are you doing?" He stepped back. "Just cleaning, ma'am." She didn't believe him. Security escorted him out. Later, she reviewed the footage, saw him lean in with surprising focus. But she also saw him earlier helping an injured maintenance tech. She didn't know what to make of it. The morning of the test run, the H-145 wouldn't start. Engineers from MIT, Caltech, Oxford gathered around. Nothing worked. This was a demonstration for a Seattle client worth $40 million. Alexandra stood in the center, jaw tight. Then she saw him. Jack mopping near the far wall but not mopping. Looking at the helicopter at the pressure valve housing. His eyes moved across the engine with intensity that didn't match his uniform. She walked over. "You've been staring at it for 10 minutes. See something we don't." Engineers smirked. "Tell you what," she said, voice cold and clear. "Fix this helicopter and I'll kiss you right now in front of everyone." The hangar went silent. "And if I can't? You're fired. No severance, no insurance." She crossed her arms. "Do we have a deal?" Jack thought about Emma, about the robotics competition that night, about the workshop lights that had been out for 2 weeks. Then he set down the mop and walked toward the H-145. What no one knew was that Jack had spent 6 years keeping military helicopters alive in war zones. He'd been decorated twice, commended 4 times. He'd walked away from all of it the day he buried his wife. Now he came home to Emma, who was building an autonomous rover for tonight's regional competition. The workshop at her school had been shut down 3 weeks ago. Emma had been working at home under a flickering desk lamp. Jack had called the school twice. No one called back. Jack unlocked his locker and pulled out the duffel bag behind the cleaning supplies. Inside was his old toolkit. Military-grade precision instruments. He'd never been able to let them go. He carried it back, unzipped it, and got to work. He removed the engine cowling. 6 bolts, specific torque sequence. Within 8 minutes, the cowling was off. The engineers who stayed exchanged glances. This was precision. He disconnected the electrical harness, removed the valve housing. At 12:23 p.m., he lifted it free. The interior was coated with fine metallic dust. He'd been right. He cleaned every surface with solvent, checking with a fiber optic camera. He turned to the compressor intake, reaching into a space barely wide enough for his arm. Sweat dripped down his temple. At 1:14 p.m., he pulled his arm out. He'd gotten it all. He reassembled everything. Every connection perfect. Every bolt torqued to spec. By 1:38 p.m., he was done. He ran a manual pressure test. The needle climbed smoothly. Good. Alexandra appeared at 1:50 p.m. Jack wiped his hands. Try it now. She climbed into the pilot seat and turned the key. The turbine began to spin. The engine roared to life, smooth and powerful. The H-145 lifted 6 inches off the ground, hovered, then settled back down. She shut off the engine, climbed out, walked over. Everyone was watching, phones recording. Jack pulled off his gloves and said the thing no one expected. I don't need your kiss. I just need the lights in Emma's workshop turned back on. She has a robotics competition tonight. She's been building in the dark for 2 weeks. That's all I want. Just the lights. The silence stretched. Who's Emma? Her voice was softer. My daughter. She's 7 years old. She's building an autonomous rover. She deserves a fair shot. Not money, not a promotion. Just lights. Alexandra felt something tighten in her chest. Real shame. She'd used this man, made him a spectacle. And he hadn't done it for recognition. He'd done it for a 7-year-old building robots in the dark. Done. The lights will be on by tonight. You have my word. Jack nodded and turned back to gather his tools. Back in her office, Alexandra opened the company database. Jack Hunter, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, University of Virginia. GPA 3.9. Military service. Army Aviation Maintenance, 2009 to 2017. Warrant Officer 2. Honorable Discharge. Commendations. Army Commendation Medal, 2 Meritorious Service Medals. She stared at the screen. She thought about using him as entertainment. She thought about Emma, 7 years old, building robots in the dark. She picked up her phone. Turn the lights back on in the workshop at PS 1:14. Tonight. I don't care what it costs. The next evening, Alexandra found Jack in the parking lot under his truck. I owe you an apology. What I did was wrong. I used you. I made you a spectacle. That was cruel. I'm sorry. Jack wiped his hands. I didn't do it for you. I did it for Emma. I know. Did she win? 2nd place. But she got into the summer camp. Full scholarship. He smiled. She cried when I told her. Happy tears. Alexandra pulled out an envelope. This is an invitation to the company gala next month. There's a robotics exhibit. MIT is bringing competition bots. I thought she might like to see them. Why? Because I want to apologize properly. And because your daughter sounds brilliant. Jack took it. I'll think about it. Thank you for fixing the helicopter. And for reminding me what humility looks like. That night Alexandra couldn't sleep. She got up at 2 a.m., pulled up the company's charitable foundation, and authorized a $50,000 grant to PS 114. New equipment for the STEM lab, robotics program, scholarships. 3 weeks later, Emma won 1st place at the regional finals. Alexandra attended, sitting in the back wearing jeans. She watched Emma's face light up when they called her name, watched Jack lift her onto his shoulders. After the ceremony, Emma ran up. Are you my dad's boss? Alexandra crouched down. Sort of. Are you his girlfriend? Alexandra froze. No. I'm just a friend. Oh. I thought you were pretty. Thank you, Emma. I think you're brilliant. A week later, Alexandra offered Jack a senior test engineer position. He turned it down. I appreciate it. But I don't want to go back to a world where people are measured by titles. I'm happy where I am. I get to be there for Emma. Alexandra understood. But something had changed between them. He started staying after his shift to talk. She started arriving earlier. They talked about helicopters, about Emma's projects, about everything important. And slowly something began to grow. A month later, after a successful test flight, she found him near the H-145 at sunset. She held up a rag. "I kept this from the day you saved the project, because it reminded me that I'm not always right, and that sometimes the person you least expect is the one who changes everything." She stepped closer. "Do you remember what I said that day about the kiss?" "Yeah." "I didn't mean it. It was cruel. But I'd like to make a new offer. I'd like the first kiss to be because I love you, not because you fixed something." Jack's breath caught. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "I've never been more sure." He reached out and took her hand. They kissed softly, slowly. Not because of a bet, but because two broken people had found a way to be whole. When they pulled apart, Alexandra rested her forehead against his. "Emma's going to be insufferable about this." Jack laughed. "She's going to say she knew all along." She probably did. They stood there as the sun disappeared. And for the first time in years, Alexandra felt exactly where she was meant to be.